What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on D's Analysis. We're going to be looking at MicroStrategy today. We're going to take a look at the Ballistic Acceleration model. We're going to also look at what a portfolio could have done for you from 2021 to year to date. And we're going to just talk about MicroStrategy in general. So MicroStrategy closed around 289 on Friday at 4 p.m. And as you can see here, Friday at 4 p.m. is around 83,700. So we're down about 0.8 to 0.7 down percentage wise. So let's see how Bitcoin finishes out on Sunday, and let's see if we either open up or open down for MicroStrategy. I do think there's been a lot of noise. I think this is all part of it. They want to shake people out as much as possible before the next leg up. Sometimes you just have to weather the bad storm so you can end up on the other side and in the green. This could be the time to accumulate more. Not financial advice, of course. But if you believe in Bitcoin, then you should believe in MicroStrategy, theoretically, because they're tied together. So we're going to take a look at a back test of the portfolio. So we're doing MSTR 100%. You start with $5,000 and you're adding $1,000 a month. And the final amount would be $350,000, which is insane because you start with $5,000 and you're adding $1,000 a month from January 2021 to February 2025. So if you just filter all the noise out, you close your eyes, you have it on auto invest. It's taking money out of your paycheck or from your account every single time you get paid. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to check the news. You don't have to check anything. You can just relax, sit back, and 350,000 would have been your result. Starting in January 2021, by the time July 2023 came around, you would have just hit 50,000, which is in line with the S&P 500 as you underperformed in 2022. But then once Bitcoin started ramping up, you dramatically outperformed. And then you go from having 50,000 in July 2023 to having 224,000 in March 2024, and then hitting a peak of a total of 532,000 in November 30th when we had that blow off top on MicroStrategy. So I'm just showing you guys this just to filter out the noise, to show that you can dollar cost average this thing and make a ton of money. So there's nothing to be too concerned about. Yes, if you're trading, yeah, it's going to be more emotional, but if you're investing and dollar cost averaging, there's nothing to worry about. Now on the Ballistic Acceleration model, here's Bitcoin's price. This is MicroStrategy's price, and the model is showing 248. So showing that we're overvalued by 16%. So maybe we deviate back to the line because we took off initially, but let's see if we end up coming back to the line and following the initial model before we start ramping back up. But I would love to see us deviated from this line to the upside consistently. That would be awesome. But there's always that chance of coming back to the line. As you can see, we spend most of our time when things are looking good, we spend most of our time above it and a short amount of time underneath it. And you can see the same thing happening here. But with these models, a lot of times you end up deviating back to it and then running back up, coming back down to it, then overshooting to the downside, and so on. That's just the volatility and the nature of MicroStrategy. The MNAV is currently at a 1814, so last time we looked at it, it was around the same thing. So it hasn't really moved too much. I know it swung upward to about 2, and now it's back to the 18. But you can see where price could take you if you hit $200,000. Depending on the MNAV, it can get pretty crazy. 150,000, you can see where that could take you, depending on the MNAV. The MNAV will ramp up as price goes up. So not only will we move down here, but the MNAV will increase, so we move right. So we'll move down. If we're at 150, the MNAV might be at 3.5. So maybe we fall in between here and we're at $1,000 or something like that. So we'll see how it plays out, of course. Back to the acceleration model. So if we were to go to 150,000, potentially hitting 1100, and then as you know, we tend to deviate to the upside or downside. So it's plus or minus this number right here. So who knows where we could be at. But this model's been pretty spot on if you look. It's been around the ballpark. So this is a good thing to kind of reference whenever you see these large moves happen and there's a lot of downside and uncertainty. This is a good thing to refer to, as well as back testing the portfolio and seeing long term what your portfolio could look like. It helps filter out the noise because you know I can keep a level head and just keep moving along forward. Overall, though, I am bullish on MicroStrategy. They're tied to Bitcoin. They have over 500,000 Bitcoin, not $500,000. They have 500,000 Bitcoin. So they own a little over 2% of the entire Bitcoin supply. And this thing is essentially digital gold. There's a finite amount. So when you think of supply and demand, there's a lot of demand. The supply is slowly dwindling down as people continue to accumulate more and more. So, and then on top of that, when you think of the volatility in Bitcoin, if you ever take a look at the implied volatility chart, you'll see a U-shaped form. That's because on the call side, there's a lot of uncertainty. On the put side, there's a lot of uncertainty. And remember who makes these options chains. These are the market makers, the people with the biggest money in the world, people with hundreds of billions of dollars that really move the market. When they buy and sell, they move the market. So if those people are uncertain about the price, you could imagine that the calls and the puts are going to be they're going to be priced at a crazy amount. That goes to show that Bitcoin will swing in both directions, and you can see it in the options chain. But at the same time, if you just dollar cost average in, you don't even have to worry about that. But never let anybody tell you that it's going to go in this direction or it's going to go in this direction, because nobody ever knows. If those people that have the most power and the most money in the world are unsure of where it's going, nobody knows. Now we can look at things that can help influence the price or guide us in the right direction, of course, but we still don't know what's going to happen or when it's going to happen. Long term, yes, most of the time it's going to continue going up, but there's going to be a lot of swings in between. If you look at Bitcoin historically, the swings, you can get 30% drops in bull markets. So I'll take a look here, show you a couple examples. So if we're talking in the 2021, you're in the full leg of the bull market right here. I mean, look at this leg. It's massive, right? So after you ran up 300%, 330%, I'm sure everybody here was like, this thing can never go down. We'll never see a correction. And then next thing you know, you see a almost 32% correction. Actually, if you come down to this one, about 33% correction, 34%. That just goes to show that these things are normal. This happens in bull markets when you're talking about Bitcoin. Here, before the takeoff, you can see we had a 21% correction. Like, these are very normal moves. So I wouldn't panic too much. This is a full-fledged bull market right here. 2017, insane move, right? Along the way, we had a 39% move, 40% move down. And before that move up, we had another 40% move. So you had a large move up, 40%, large move up, 40%. Like, these things happen consistently. The same thing here, another leg up, 35%. So just showing you this to kind of calm everybody's nerves, make sure everybody feels good. Know that this is part of your standard cycles. And currently we are down, we hit a low of 29, we can just say 30% for easy numbers, and we're currently down 23%. So if you're looking back at price, this looks pretty normal. This is nothing new. So I wouldn't panic yet. Not like we're seeing a 60% drop, because then, things might be a little bit different. But this was a 29% drop. This happens in bull markets. So stay level-headed, DCA, do your research so you understand Bitcoin, and then do your research so you understand MicroStrategy. You need to understand Bitcoin to understand MicroStrategy. So learn about the seasonality, how the cycles work, the 4-year cycles, 3 years up, 1 year down, learn all that stuff. And you can make yourself a solid, informed decision with a solid plan. And you can end up on the other side a lot wealthier than when you started. That's all I have for you guys. I'll see you in the next one.